Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. It's Eric here, Gold Investment Letter, and the 8th of January. Hello from sunny, not so sunny, but palm tree Miami. I hope all of you are surviving the winters if you're up north. I am going to give you an update today. I'm going to share my screen on something that I want to zero in on. Now, as far as all of as the gold market, the miners, the companies that we end up covering here at GIL that I've shared information with our free e-letter, over the course of the next 2-3 weeks during the month of January, you're going to see a rolling amount of written blog reports and video updates that are going to touch on virtually every single company and stock that I've mentioned, particularly in the last year. There are going to be some new recommendations that I'm not going to sweat those super quick, because what I'm going to mention even right now, I can't help myself. If you're worried about Giga Metals or Phenom Resources, for example, two of my biggest positions still to this day, along with McEwen Mining, do not worry and know that I think what I should do is maybe on the three of those, or at least on Giga Phenom, because I do plan to have a full update with Rob McEwen from McEwen Mining. I will do a separate video on Giga and Phenom, my thoughts on these. And I'm so actually happy that I have some income while these stocks are so cheap, because I have been a net buyer consistently. While Giga just went to a new low, this is like free money, FYI. I believe down here, if you don't have a quick time horizon, there's so much value. And it's funny, I hear myself talk about value in a penny stock and I kind of laugh, but it's very true. Phenom has some incredible things going on. Hole 17 assays are pending. I'm not getting excited about that. I'm not worried about it. It's a big hole. These are very expensive holes. And I think Phenom's new plan for the year, with acquiring more gold assets that are cheap in Nevada, building on the vanadium story. When vanadium turns, Phenom Resources will be the most prolific, hottest, well-known exploration development vanadium story in the world as a public company. There's no doubt about that. I have had validation from all over the place on this deal, so I just wanted to note that. But what I wanted to talk about today is one of the stocks that we've covered, Max Power Mining, that's in the lithium business. And lithium stocks have gotten their teeth kicked in. Let me share my screen here and show you just a couple of quick things. I want to keep this brief so a lot of you will watch and listen to this. So we've got a chart. Let's look at the daily. So this is an inverse head and shoulders of sorts on the daily. I mean, it's a little bit of a lower right, or what that would be. Flip it up, it's a left shoulder. But we just had an attempt at a breakout of the 50-day. This is a flagging pattern that is very bullish coming off of a bottom, and it's been trapped between the two moving averages. So there's either going to be a breakout above the 200, which it's already attempting, or a breakdown below the 50-day, which I just think is a stretch based on the fact that look at what their news has been. The lithium claystone at Wilcox in Arizona. So this is the first hole where they reported a discovery. And then we have the extension last week that we saw come out on late last week on hole number 2 was a big step out, 500 meters. So this hole, what I'm hearing and from what I understand from the geologists and the people on the ground in Arizona, this asset, the Wilcox Playa, which is like, it's big, and it's a former Air Force base and bombing site that was scooped up stealthily by Max Power over the last couple of years. And they finally got the permits, they're drilling, and it looks like, based on lib readers and everything else, we have a new lithium discovery, and it is very big. And this playa is very likely filled with lithium. We haven't had assays back, but with the lib readings and everything else they've got these days with modern technology, we know we've got lithium. It's just a question of, it's not like gold or silver where it's like, oh, we're going to get super blown away or excited. Well, we could get blown away, but we're not going to get a disappointment where it's like the core looked like there was possibly the mixture for gold, or you even thought you saw gold in the core, and it comes back from the assay and it was like something ppm. That's not going to happen here, but it will be in the ppms. That's what lithium is usually gauged by. But my sense is everybody that's behind this deal, they've got a lot of strong backers in Max. Is that this is huge. This is a huge deal. So what I see, so you may want to read through this. If you don't have a position, here's my suggestion. I'm a buyer up to, like, in the short term. I'm in the short term, I'm a buyer under 56 cents Canadian. So call it 41 cents on Max F. And this is where the US symbol comes into play. Let me just pull that up so you guys can actually see it. MAXXF, which is last traded at 40. So yeah, I'd go to 42 cents on the US side, which has got some decent volume recently. And here's the thing about Max, like, so look real quick. Let's just look at the lithium chart. So this is Max's daily, and we're going to go to the weekly in a second. Here's the lithium chart, which has not been pretty. And then especially when you go to a weekly, you know, we've seen that thing melt in half essentially on a trend line, which I believe is coming to an apex. And we will see a rally, and it could be substantial in the lithium names. But if you go back to Max Power Mining, look at how this is traded. This is a 2-year chart again, the weekly. So, you know, this thing, it didn't even break any new lows in the whole lithium correction. It did fade with lithium down, but the lowest it touched was 35, and it really didn't trade much under 40. So you're talking about a 20% sort of downside in the range, 15 to 20% on downside. And then to go back to the highs in the low 80s, you're looking at a 60% upside. What I think is a given is that we're going to make another run and test up near that 80. The big question mark then, which isn't really a question mark, to me, it's a matter of time. So after all this consolidation for almost 2 years, what happens to the stock when we finally get back up here? Does it roll back over into a trend channel? Well, listen, if you're buying down at 55 or under, you don't have much of a problem. You're going to be very profitable to make that decision. But what I think is going to end up happening, these guys are determined to do it. And it looks like, as we all know, the wild card in this stuff is the drill bit, right? The drill bit is telling us that, you know, if these assays start to come back good, they're going to be stepping this out and they're doing hole 3, I think, pretty much right now. That should be announced, or it already was indicated in the last press release. And then hole 3, hole 4, all the stuff that's going on in the Wilcox Playa. This is a potentially very, very, very substantial lithium discovery globally, certainly in North America, definitely in the United States. I mean, we're talking discussions, you know, people talking about Thacker's Pass, which is the Lithium Americas project, which has commanded hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from major mobile auto manufacturers and other things. So my suggestion, guys, is an update is that on Max, hold your shares. Don't get discouraged at all on this. And it's easier not to be discouraged here. We're not hitting new lows like, you know, Giga has or anything. I'm licking my chops on those things, though, guys. I mean, listen, you can say, oh, I'm just, you know, always positive or something, but I'm in these deals deep, and I really don't give a shit what any of you do. I couldn't care less. At the end of the day, if you're a hater, I'm going to make a lot of money because that's what we do here. Sometimes we need more time, and definitely, I was early when I started getting bullish in late 2021 on Giga, like around 35, 40 cents Canadian. I could have and should have waited. You know, we didn't have a good market since then. It's been a down market and the stock has gone lower. So there's no doubt, if you want to point blame or something, then, you know, I would accept that, and I'm not blind to it. I take responsibility for that. However, in my experience, guys, like, if you're early and you can stick with these plays, and that's why I always also recommend you don't buy everything at once. You know, save some powder, buy periodically on pullbacks, accumulate a position. the nickel at Turnagain, the vanadium at Phenom, the frickin' lithium apparently here, that's not going anywhere, right? So, I'm also gently but positively putting pressure on a lot of our portfolio companies to start to get money spent on marketing, more awareness of the stories, bring in new investors. If they're not doing that, they know that and they are, they are, and there's a lot of really good stuff going on with any of these companies that I'm talking about. Max seems to have that part of this pretty down pat. They know it's a priority to get in new blood and new investors into their story, and there's a lot going on in that realm too. So I think we're going to see around the news and all that stuff, it's going to start to really firm up. Now with Giga, I'm almost reluctant to talk too much about the value there yet, because I want to buy more stock down here at 16 cents Canadian. Are you freaking kidding me? This is incredible. Look at what happened with Canada Nickel and Agnico Eagle's investment there. I'm actually working on a bit of a comp document. Even though they're sort of apples and oranges, the Crawford and the Turnagain asset, there are a lot of economic metrics we could look at where you say, even in the exploration side, Turnagain versus Canada Nickel, which is trading at almost $250 million Canadian valuation, and then you have Giga under 20 million. It's like, it's a joke. So anyway, I don't want Canada Nickel. I'm not hating on them. God bless them for getting that deal done in this environment and for having a nice firm valuation. Their stock went up net, even with the dilution from Agnico. I don't know what that company is worth, but it's probably even worth more than it is now. So you've got, I'm not saying that needs to come down to close the gap. I think it's just more of a look at Giga versus that with the value you see. And then with Max, I don't see really any other, I don't know, maybe you guys do, lithium names that have held in so strong. We get a bit of a shift in any of these metals markets and mining stocks, which I expect to see some of even yet in the next 30 days. I still think January could give us a bit of a lift to show us what's coming for the year. It's been dead so far, been very quiet, low volumes, but there is action out there, and Max is one of them. So I would suggest paying attention to what you see there. And if you don't own any or much, I think under that 55 cents Canadian, grab some. And then when we go back to this, guys, when you look, we get a close above the 200-day, 51. I mean, it just touched 54, 55 two times in the last month. The stock's going higher. It'll be in the 60s probably this week. That's my guess. And 70s by the end of the month. And then we'll see what happens. The big test to me is when you get up near 80, 85, when do we bust out of that channel? If and when it does, Max is a $2 stock. So that's it for today, guys. Take it easy and know that I appreciate you guys, even just taking your time and listening to me, much less, putting your hard-earned money to work in things that I like and that I'm involved in that are, relatively speculative and aggressive. So I always appreciate every one of you that took the time to just listen to this message. I hope you have a great 2024. Cheers.